Hi ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to look at how to find the x and y intercept of a line. So let's start with the x intercept. The x intercept. So given a Cartesian plane, when you have a Cartesian plane, for example this one, a point at a point which crosses the x-axis, a point that crosses the x-axis is what is called the x-intercept. For example, when you have a line, let's say call it line AB, at this point, so for this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. At this point where the line crosses the x-axis, this is the point where you call the x-intercept. So normally at this point, y is equal to 0. It doesn't have to be exactly here. It can be here, 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 or any other, as long as it is along the x-axis. Y is usually equal to 0. So let's define the x-intercept. We are saying x-intercept is a point a point that crosses the x-axis is called the x-intercept. A point that crosses the x-axis is called x. So at that point, in our example is here, the value of y usually is equal to 0. The value of y at that point is usually equal to 0. So let's look at an example. Example 1. Given the equation y is equal to 2x plus 6, find the x-intercept. So let's look at the solution. So we are saying the x-intercept, it occurs when y is equal to 0. That's the first point you have to note. So it occurs, let's say this. It occurs when y is equal to 0. So let's rewrite the equation. So then, where there is y, we replace it with 0. In other words, what we are saying is where there is y, you replace with 0. So let's replace 0. 0 is equal to 2x plus 6. Then you take 6 on, you cross it on the other side of the equation. So it becomes negative. So it will be negative 6 is equal to 2x. So you divide by 2 here, divide by 2 here. You will get negative 3 is equal to x. So this implies that x is equal to negative 3. Or you can decide to write it as a coordinate. So what you do, the coordinates usually we write first x-axis, then the y-axis. So the value of x-axis is negative 3, and we have said the value of the y-axis is 0. So this or this one becomes the solution. So let's look on the y-intercept. Let's look on the y-intercept. We are saying y-intercept, this one, it occurs when x is equal to 0. So when you are given a Cartesian plane, for example, this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. So any point that crosses the y-axis, a point that crosses the y-axis is called the y-intercept. For example, if you have a line, let's call it line AB. So at this point, the line crosses the y-axis. So this is the point where we call the y-intercept. So normally at y-intercept, at this point, x is equal to 0. The value of x is usually equal to 0. It doesn't have to be here. It can be anywhere as long as it is along the y-axis. Then the value of x is usually equal to 0. So let's define the y-intercept. We are saying a point we are saying a point that crosses the y-axis is called the y-intercept. So normally we are saying that y-intercept occurs when x is equal to 0. In other words, at y-intercept, the value of x is usually equal to 0. Okay, let's look on example 2. Given the equation y is equal to 2x plus 6, find the y-intercept. Find the y-intercept. Okay, let's look at the solution. We are saying y-intercept we are saying it occurs when x is equal to 0. It occurs when x is equal to 0. So what basically means is at the point where we find x, you replace it with 0. So let's rewrite the equation. So at this point, we have 2x. So we replace the value of x with 0. So it becomes 2 into 0 plus 6. 2 multiplied by 0 is 0. So it remains to be y is equal to 0 plus 6. This is y. Then y is equal to 6. So we have found the value of y. Or you can also like it to write as a coordinate. So what you do, in coordinate form, you first write the value of x, then the value of y. So the value of x, we know it is 0. So you write 0, comma, y, which is 6. So this or this one become now the y-intercept. Okay, let's look on another example. Example 3. The equation of a line L2, the equation is named L2, is 2y is equal to negative x plus 4. Find x and y-intercept. Find x and y-intercept. So solution. Let's start with the x-intercept. We are saying the x-intercept, it occurs when y is equal to 0. So we are saying x-intercept occurs when y is equal to 0. Now let's rewrite the equation. Two y is equal to negative x plus 4. So what you basically we do here is where there is y, you replace it with 0. So we are saying where there is y, you replace with 0. So 2, you replace y with 0 is equal to negative x plus 4. 2 multiplied by 0 is 0 is equal to negative x plus 4 plus 4. So you take negative x on the other side of the equation. Now negative x here is negative, sorry. So when it crosses the other side of the equation, it becomes positive. So it will be x is equal to 4. So this is the x-intercept. Or when you try to write it as a coordinate, you have said you start with the x-axis, then the y-axis. We know the value of x is 4 and the value of y-axis is 0. So you can start with the x-axis, which is 4, 0. So this, or this here, becomes the x-intercept. Okay, let's look on the y-intercept. We are saying the y-intercept, it occurs when x is equal to 0. So the equation was 2y is equal to negative x plus 4. So what basically we do, where there's 0, you replace with, where there's x, you replace with 0. So we are saying 2y is equal to 0 plus 4. Plus 4. So basically, it becomes 2y so 2y is equal to 4. So we are finding the value of y. So you divide here by 2. You divide here by 2. So you get y is equal to by 2, 1 by 2, 2. 2y is equal to 2. Or we are saying you can write it as a coordinate. So you start the value of x, then the value of y. The value of x is 0, and the value of y is 2. So this one or this one becomes the y-intercept. Okay, example 4. A line L1 with the equation 2y minus 3x minus 6 is equal to 0 is parallel to line 4, which passes through the point negative 1, 3. Find the x and y intercept of line 4. Okay, this one is a bit complicated, but let's go about it. So the first thing we are given a line 1 that has an equation 2y minus 3x minus 6 is equal to 0. Then we are asked to find the x and y intercept of line 4. So which means we have first to find the equation of line 4. Then from there now we can find the x intercept, then the y intercept of line 4. So how do we find the equation of line 4? We are told the equation line 1 is parallel to line 4. That means the equation of line 1 is 2y minus 3x minus 6 is equal to 0. So we have to write this equation in the form y is equal to mx plus c, where m is the gradient. Other people call it the slope. Are we together now? So when you get the gradient now, the gradient of parallel lines is the same. So let's do this. We have to take negative 3x, you pass it on the other side of the equation, and negative 6. So you get, when you take this one to the other side, it becomes positive, and this one also, it becomes positive. So you get 2y is equal to 3x plus 6. So you divide here by 2, so that you get y. Divide here by 2, you get here by 2. You get y is equal to 3 out of 2x plus 3. So the gradient is anything that is before x. The value that is before x, sorry. So this one here becomes the gradient. So the gradient, or which is symbolized as m, let's say call it m1, is equal to 3 out of 2. And we know, we have said parallel lines. We are saying parallel lines We are saying parallel lines have the same gradient. In simple terms, we are saying M1 is equal to M2. The gradient of line 1 is equal to the gradient of line 2, which is the same as 3 out of 2. So the gradient of line 4 now is 3 out of 4. So we have the point, line 4 now, it has the points, sorry, the coordinate -1, 3. The gradient, which is M2, is 3 out of 2. And we choose a point xy. So when we have this, we can find an equation. So you take y minus 3, the coordinate for y, then x out of x minus -1 is equal to the gradient, which is 3 out of 2. So this becomes y minus 3 out of, when two negative signs come together, they become positive. So it is x plus 1 is equal to 3 out of 2. You cross multiply. So you have 2 multiplied by y minus 3 is equal to 3 x plus 1. Then you open the brackets, you get 2y minus 6 is equal to 3x plus 3. You take this 6 to the other side of the equation, you get 2y is equal to, when you take this other side, it becomes plus 6. 3x plus 9, because 3 plus 6 is 9. You divide by 2 here, you divide by 2 here, you divide by 2 here, you get y is equal to 3 out of 2x plus 9 out of 2. So this is the equation of line 4. This is line 4. So now we have the equation for line 4. We are saying y is equal to 3 out of 2x plus 9 out of 2. Let's find the x-intercept. We are saying the x-intercept it occurs when y is equal to 0. So where there is y, you replace it with 0. So we say 0 is equal to 3 out of 2x plus 9 out of 2. So you take, let's take this one on the other side of the equation, so it becomes negative. You get 9 out of 2, sorry, negative 9 out of 2 is equal to 3 out of 2x. If you want to remain with the value of x, you multiply by the reciprocal, that is 2 out of 3, multiply by 2 out of 3. So with this cancels, you remain with x is equal to, this one goes, negative, x is equal to negative 3. So when you get x equal to negative 3 now, or you can write this one as a coordinate, as a coordinate, you have the value of y, which is 0, and the value of x, which is negative 3, So you write negative 3, 0. So this becomes the x-intercept of that line. Okay, let's look on the y-intercept. So the equation we have is this one. The equation we have is this one. Y is equal to 3 out of 2x plus 9 out of 2. We are saying the y-intercept It occurs when x is equal to 0. Sorry. It occurs when x is equal to 0. So where there's x, you replace it with 0. So you get y is equal to 3 out of 2 multiplied by 0 plus 9 out of 2. So y is equal to 2 out of 3 multiplied by 0 becomes 0 plus 9 out of 2. So y is equal to 9 out of 2. Or you can write as a coordinate. You start with the x value, which is 0, and the y value, which is 9 out of 2. So this one becomes the y-intercept.